Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of the Snake Room podcast. It is me, Liam, Twisted Royals. Check me out, Instagram, Facebook, all that lovely stuff. Let's just get the comments up, see who we've got in the building. Drop your name, see who we've got, say hello. Say hello. Generation Serpents, hello. What's going on? How do we change that? One sec. Default. There you go. Boom. Comments. So, if it's your first time watching, as always, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Python Junkie, how you doing, mate? Chris, evening. Jamie, hello. Welcome. So, as always, if you want some stickers sent out, drop me a message on Instagram or something like that. I'll get you some stickers sent out. I have ordered some more because I'm running out because people keep asking for them, but happy days. I don't mind giving them out. We are just over halfway towards our 250 subscriber giveaway. There's plenty of stuff up for grabs. I'll probably do 2 winners because I've got so much stuff to give away. So, Morph Matrix, nothing gets past you, mate. I was then about to say as well, the 250 people subscriber giveaway could win a shirt like this, brand new. I love it. I've got a few different styles as well. So glad to catch you on the live. Always miss them. Excellent. I'm glad you're here. Glad you are here. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get Nick from Eden Morphs on. How you doing, sir? Welcome.
Thanks for having me on.
Have the nerves settled down yet?
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of.
I guess it'll be okay in a bit.
Yeah. To be fair, you'll forget there's anyone watching in like 5 minutes. We'll just get into it, and it'll all be all good. You'll forget it. Then you'll message me later, like most people do. Go, I really enjoyed that. So that's how it works. It's just how it goes down. So whereabouts in the world are you?
Right, I'm in Warwickshire, so I better get it right. Royal Leamington Spa. So it's between Coventry and Stratford-on-Avon. So,
okay. Up that way.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been there your whole life, or?
No, my dad was in the army, so we moved around a lot. I lived in Rugby, which is just down the road, since I was about 12, something like that. Right. So I'm literally 55 now. So I'm old. Yeah. So I've been around here for a long time.
You don't look that old, to be honest.
I feel it.
I'd have pegged you like early to mid 40s, but you know.
I'll pay you later.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You said you were going to sponsor this podcast, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever you want.
New sponsor, yeah. Just get them sweet like that. So, let's get into it. Where did your love for the reptiles first start?
God. I've never liked them, to be honest. Right. I think it was when I was a van driver 25 years ago. I used to deliver in Cheltenham and that, and there was a reptile shop there, and that's the first time I ever seen a wild caught anaconda. Okay. They were the nastiest little shits. And I started liking snakes from then, and then I used to just deliberately go around looking for reptile shops and pop in and have a look. And my first royal was from Coventry, from a place called Godiva Reptiles. And I pissed the guy off because I kept going back and asking questions. And I became friends with the guy Mark, and he wasn't the nicest person. He was very sort of like, I think he was a typical old reptile keeper, stroke businessman back in those days, because they didn't trust anyone. It was like everyone was against them and that sort of thing. So I bought a royal from him, and I think it was about £100, £150 back then. And that was just a wild caught. And so I just fell in love with them. And then when I was about that time, the pieds came out. And I think they were like $50,000-$60,000 back then.
Wow.
And I fell in love with them. 25 years ago. So.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 90s. So, yeah.
So. Late 90s, yeah.
1995 okay. Sort of thing. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And how much was the pied?
I think back then, if I might be wrong, but I'm almost sure they were something like 50,000-60,000 for a pied back then. They were really expensive. So it was like, nah.
You can pick one up for £250 now. That's mental.
Yeah, there's one, I bought a pied, and I bought a lightning pied. I'll just show you him. And he's an MJ one.
Yeah.
And he's the one that I will never get rid of.
Okay, yeah.
And he's got a little emoji, just that.
Right, okay, that's pretty cool. How long did you say it was a him?
Yeah, I've only had him, what was it, November?
Okay.
I bought him from Darren, D&J, Ashley living
yeah, D and Joe.
Yeah. He cost me 2.5.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah. But I've got 3 females as well. Not visuals, but I've got 3 exotic female het pies to go with him. One's 100% het, and the other 2 are 66% het. So when he's big enough, and when they're big enough, I'll put him to them to get some more lightning pies, which would be nice.
Yeah, that must be awesome. Producing your own lightning pies. It isn't a goal of mine. Like, we obviously in this hobby, we all have our own goals and stuff like that. But it's one that's kind of, if something fell into my lap, I'd definitely work with it. I do like, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of pied anyway, but the lightning pied is definitely one of the nicest pieds out there, I think.
Yeah.
With the, what's the other one? The yellow belly pied, I really like as well. Those two, if I had the choice, I'd probably work with them too, rather than any other pied, I think. With a bit of enchi stuck in, just for the pattern, because the reason I don't mind pied, I just don't want to work with it, is because you get the high whites and stuff like that. It's, nowadays you struggle to ID a snake at the best of times because there's so many genes floating about. I just think pied makes it so much more difficult. You really need to know what you're looking at to actually ID that snake properly. But going back, so you bought your first one 25 years ago. was that? Was that back then just a pet?
Yeah, it was. It was basically a pet. And then I bought. No, I fostered a rescue ball python, which had been used by a drug dealer in Coventry to scare his minions. She had like a gash on her side where he put a nail in the vivarium so she could shed, had something to rub herself against. And she was lovely, but big nail. She had a massive scar where she had ripped herself apart. She was really good tempered. She wasn't vicious or anything. But the only problem was she was a life feeder, and she would only take gerbils. And the only place to get gerbils was Pets at Home.
Yeah, yeah.
So they caught on that I was live feeding. So they sort of like politely said, no, you can't have any more. I got her off live. It took me 6 months to get her off live. And yeah, she was absolute sweetheart. So yeah.
Okay. So was that another normal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's basically all there was. Yeah.
Unless you dropped a serious wedge.
Exactly. Like a bar check and all that sort of thing. And I didn't have that sort of money.
Yeah. So is it just them two for a little while? Like, did you...
Yeah, it was them. I had them for a few years, and then I became friends with Mark, who owned the reptile shop. And I fell in love with the Burmese pythons.
Right.
And he had a cage which was massive. And he had 3 Burmese and a retic in the same cage. And they lived with each other for about 6 years or so. And he had a male that I bought, and I called him BMF, just as a piss take, because he was only 9.5 foot. And he was a puppy dog. I absolutely loved him. I made him a 6 foot Viv, and I used to feed him rabbits. So
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. How long did you have it for?
I was living at my sister's, so I had him for about 3-4 years. And I also had a Bosque monitor and a carpet as well. And the carpet was a nasty little shit. Yeah.
Okay. So you're no stranger to
back then.
Yeah, you're no stranger to different breeds of snake and all sorts of reptiles. Then, really.
Yeah.
Sound like you've had a.
Well, I ended up being the manager for a while at the reptile shop. So we had iguanas that were in like a 12. No, yeah, it was about a 12 by 24 foot tank, and there was a whole colony of iguanas. We had a rock python, matlocks, and Mark back then, he was one of the first to have the giant hognose, and he never told me I was feeding it once, pulled it out, and he said, "Oh, by the way, it's venomous." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, it's a rear fang." I was like, "Yeah, okay." So
did you say giant hognose?
Yeah. Oh God, you can get them now. They're I forgot I'm no good with Latin names. I think it's an Eastern hognose.
Right.
So they're not like the Westies, those sort of things. These are massive. I'd say they look a bit like false water cobras, a little bit, but they have got the scale that makes the nose bit.
Right.
But they're rear fanged.
I don't really know a lot about hognoses and whatnot. I mean, a normal hognose can get how big, and then how much bigger can the giant ones get?
I think I may be wrong. If someone can correct me if I am, I think the giants grow to about 4, 5 foot, something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know. Obviously, I think you can get captive bred ones now, but this was a wild caught one, so it was feisty as hell. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. And how long were you in charge of the shop for?
A year, and I was offered to. He was going to Canada, and he asked if I wanted to take the shop on, and my answer was no. And he was shocked, and I said I can't deal with people because
Right.
we used to give information out. We had people that would come in for leopard geckos. We would tell them how to sort of supplement their diet with calcium powder and all that. And I can remember this one guy came back, and this poor leopard gecko had metabolic bone disease. It was fucked. So
Right.
it was messed up. And I was told that I gave the wrong information. His mate said that they don't need calcium. My boss heard it, and he said, I'll tell you what, go and tell your mate to deal with it then. So yeah, I was like, I love the reptiles, couldn't deal with people. So I decided no.
Okay.
Which is one of the biggest mistakes of my life.
Right. Right. Is the shop still open now, or?
He went to Canada, and I think he sold it. Then it got sold again, and I think it was in the press a couple of years back, or many years back, that the people didn't renew their license, and they were still trading, and the council shut them down. So it's no longer there anymore.
Okay. If you ain't got a license, going to get caught out sooner or later. What are you playing at? Seriously.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially if it's your livelihood.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would you take the risk? Like, I mean, how much is do you know how much a license is for a pet shop?
I don't know. I think it's definitely a fair. Probably 500, something like that.
Exactly. Probably like a week's take. Yeah. Why take the risk? Honest. Some people. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
People are people, aren't they?
Yeah. Absolutely. So when did you get back into the ball pythons?
May last year.
May last year. Okay.
Yeah.
You've gone a bit hell for leather since
then. Basically, I've got a dog walking business, and when COVID hit, my business died. And then I got the grants off the government. And I said to my partner, I said to him, well, I want to go back into snakes. And then I'll openly admit I wanted to make a business out of that. But I knew it would take a long time. So I decided to start buying snakes. At the beginning, I made the same as everyone else. I bought because I liked the look of something. I had no projects in mind back then. So
yeah. So last May, what was the first thing you picked up? Still there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Wolf Matrix, yes. I meant DG Pi.
You can hear.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Yes, I can now.
Cool. Okay. So last May, what was the first snake you picked up?
That was lesser pastel spot nose.
Okay.
And on the same day, I've done, about 400 miles, because I then ended up picking up an Enchi butter and an orange dream pastel Enchi spider. So that was those three in one day. So.
Damn. And you went and picked them all up?
Yeah, all the snakes I've got, most of them I've picked up, because I'm just that sort of person. I'd rather get them myself than I have used a courier, but also you get to know the breeders as well, so you can have an interaction rather than just sort of email and IG them and saying, oh, I want this and that, and so it's a bit more personal. So
yeah, exactly. I sort of come to that realization not all that long ago. I was using couriers all the time, and then I was like, well, why don't I just go out and meet people? And then by the time I'd realised that, COVID had hit and I weren't allowed to. So, but I mean, it's a shame as well, because I picked up some snakes from some really decent breeders, so I really enjoyed picking their brains. But then, I'm not going anywhere, so I'll probably buy from them again, and then I'll go and pick them up next time. The courier side of things is obviously always an interesting subject. There's a lot of needle in that subject. I've used a few of them. I don't really know where I'm going with this. Like I say, I think you're on the right track, rather going out and picking them up for yourself. You've got no issues with, if you buy a snake and it comes in from a courier and it's ill or something, you don't know where to place the blame. Obviously, you're annoyed you've got an ill snake. If you go to the person who sold it to you, go, no, never had an issue here. And then you go to the courier and they can deny it as well. And it just cuts out all that crap, basically. So I think in future, I'm just going to, if it's a long drive, I'll, go a bit sightseeing on the way to pick it up. But so what's the furthest round trip you've done to pick up an animal?
I think it's when I picked up the lightning pied. No, actually, the furthest was to Classic Royals in
Middlesbrough,
sort of Newcastle way. Yeah. I went up there because I got in touch with him because I heard Sam on the air about the Desert Ghost pet females. Well, I've got a Desert Ghost pet female from them, and also I bought a Super Enchi and a Coral Glow pinstripe. Pinstripe, and those they actually started pairing them for me because I said that I wanted to get into breeding, and they were my first clutch. So
so they've already bred and produced eggs.
Yeah, that was a bit of a learning curve. Basically, I was putting them together, and I witnessed Locks, and I was and she was well off food. She wouldn't touch food at all. So I took him out, and then I put him back in again, and they sort of like went to the separate ends. So it's like, okay, the mating's over. So I thought, well, it should be quite a few months before, about the ovulation and all that sort of thing. And then one day I came in and I noticed she was on her back, I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm not sure what that meant. So I did have a look and I was like, oh, I've got enough time. And then one day I came into the room and there was this funny smell. And I was like, what's that smell? And I thought, opened it up and there she was wrapped around some eggs. And I bought
Okay.
I bought an incubator that I couldn't pick up from Alan from I forgot his name now. He's Gavin's mate. No Limits.
Right. Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Alan, I forgot. And because of COVID, I couldn't go and pick it up. So I was like, "Fuck, what am I going to do?"
Hmm.
So I got in touch with Kevin from DK Royals and
Yeah.
Luke Mills, because I've met those two because I've got some of their snakes, and
Yeah.
they were saying, right, you need this and that to make an emergency one. And I got some stuff off Kevin, and then I came back and I thought, do you know something? I'm not going to risk it, so I let her do it. I thought, so I'll just maternal incubate.
Right.
So I
Okay.
left her to it. So that was a learning curve. It was interesting as well. So
So your first ever clutch, you maternally incubated it.
yeah,
Jesus Christ, man. Shit.
I don't do
Okay.
things by half. It was like, okay, I'll just do it. I read up on it. I kept an eye on her. She wasn't bothered when I was looking at her. I check on her twice a day. I know some
Okay.
people say you shouldn't check on them because it'll just spook her. She was fine. She was absolutely fine. I would temp gun her twice a day. I was using, I've had to use because of shortage of money, herb exotic racks, which are really nice.
Okay. Yeah.
And the temperature was only at 88.
Right.
And every time I temped on her, her body temperature was between 89 and 91 all the way through it.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. That's crazy. Yeah. To be fair, I was kind of in the same boat with my first ever clutch, and I made an incubator, and okay, only half the clutch survived. So I could have done that. I could have maternally incubated. Mind you, I didn't really know enough about it back then. Um, but no, that's you. We like did it add a few grey hairs?
it was touch and go. It was like every time I'd come in here, I was like, I want to look at her. I would have looked at her 5, 6 times a day,
Yeah.
and it was like suddenly, I think after a week, 2 weeks, I wasn't that bothered. I'd just check, and I knew I looked at the eggs. So I couldn't smell if there was any bad eggs.
Right.
So I was like, well, she's doing it, and female snakes have laid eggs and kept them going a long time since we've been keeping them. So
Yeah.
it was like I made sure the humidity was high. Yeah, and she was fine, absolutely fine.
Mind you, I say it must have been like stressful and that, but then, yeah, fair enough, it might have been. But then to see that first head poking out of the egg must have been something.
It was amazing, because just before the first one came out, she
Hmm.
started to uncoil, and
Right.
then she was on point. She was very sort of like watching every move. So as soon as I opened it up, she'd raise her head and just start
Yeah.
looking. And he was like, okay. I looked at the eggs, I couldn't say. Then I seen a slight slit, and then a day later, I had a look, and there was this little head and body next to its mum. I thought,
Wow.
well,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's That's insane. And that was they pipped and hatched. Virtually all of them bar one hatched on day 54.
54, okay.
Which I was told, maternal incubation takes 60 plus. But
Okay.
these had hatched. And then I came in and she had totally uncoiled. And I thought, right, I'll just take her off. She did strike. I just took her off, and then I opened the eggs up, make a window, because just to get some of them had their heads sticking out. There was no blood vessels, nothing.
Yep.
They were dry inside. So yeah, and they're still here. One only ate straight off, the others wouldn't. So I had to assist feed. But now they're all taking small maltese straight off. They just strike straight away.
So when did they come out? Like when did the clutch pip, like month wise, or how?
March the 4th, because I'll
Okay.
always remember that.
So it's
it
been
was
a little
March
while.
the 4th they pipped. Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of months then. Yeah, a couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but what was the parent of that again?
That was Super Enchi, Coral Glow, Enchi, Pinstripe.
Okay. Okay. So what was the best outcome you got out of them?
I'm no good at identifying, but I got 2 Enches, 2 Pinstripes, and the other 3 were Coral Glows. I think they're different. One's paler than the other 2, so I need to show someone just to find out what they actually are.
Okay, so you said it was a Super Enchi, right?
Yeah. So I've got 2 Enches out of that, and then the 2 Pinstripes. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll all be Enchi at least.
Yeah.
Wicked. So how is the rest of your season progressing? How many parents you doing?
None, because all mine are still young.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to say.
I've been having chats with them and saying, "Fucking grow, will ya?" But hopefully there's about 4 or 5 that should be at size for November, October time. So
okay, so you're ready to go next season.
Yeah.
Out of all, what one are you hoping is up to size? If you had to pick one.
Frost Hypo.
Okay, I did see this. I saw you were into the Frost gene. Where did you pick that up from?
Yeah, I got that from Michael from Excite. From where Gavin. Yeah. I got in touch with him, and yeah, I just got her before Brexit.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah. But I have actually got a Trojan Ajax pastel coming from Europe, and I think I've probably been lucky because the breeder, I think I'm almost sure he's the guy he is actually. He's the one who does Reptiblock.
Right, okay.
I've got this mail coming from him, and he's dealing with the CITES and that. And I think shipping is going to cost me £100 to get it here. I think that's because I think he has a shop as well over here as well, because he only does was it? I think the next deliveries that he's doing is June and July. So I'm looking forward to getting that because it is actually insane.
What is it again?
It's a Trojan Ajax pastel.
Okay, yeah. You sent me a picture of that the other day.
Yeah.
So, for people who don't know, sort of, what is Trojan?
It's a codom, and it sort of turns. It makes the colours sort of like a burnt orange, and the super Trojan looks nearly exactly the same as Ultramel.
Right. Okay.
I did show Billy and Austin was like, "Fuck, man, that's insane." He was like, "That's a nice snake," and he's like, "Yeah." He was like, "I'm gonna have a look about this."
Okay.
But yeah, it's a nice looking snake.
Right. So, what do you get, a male or a female?
Male.
Okay.
So he'll be ready to breed. I think he's about 700-800 grams.
Okay.
He'd be ready for breeding next season.
Yeah. So he should be ready by the time he actually comes across and you actually pick him up.
Yeah.
Okay. What plans do you have with him? I mean, have you got something in mind to pair him to?
I'm not sure yet because the lightning pied he should be ready, and I also got an NT Inferno fader from Ashley,
Right.
and I'm looking at putting him with that just to make hets. So probably get Hidden Gene Woma, Granite, whatever, and then hopefully I can get some males because then by then the following year the 3 females that I've got the exantic het pieds should be ready. So I'll put a male if it's got say Hidden Gene Woma or whatever with them and see what I can get from that.
Yeah. Okay. Have you got any other animals coming in?
None. Oh yes, I've got 2 female het puzzles that I'm collect from Rebel. Oh, what's it? Rebel Reginus.
Rebel Regis. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are to go with. They're to go with my puzzle male that I got from Justin.
Your what male? Sorry.
Puzzle.
You have a puzzle male.
Yeah. I'll just... Come here.
Okay. Damn. You're not playing around.
He's really good, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of person that if I'm going to do something, I want to do it right.
Right.
And I'll just take a risk. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. A lot of people in this hobby are like that. A lot of people say, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going all in with it. Which, yeah. Morph Matrix. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That in DG. That would make my head explode. But that's one for the future, definitely.
Well, this one's in shed, and I got him from Luke.
Yeah. Was that a
So
pastel?
killer,
Pastels.
killer,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, killer pastel, super pastel DG.
Nice.
So, and I've got 2 females for him to go to. One's a butter het DG, and the other one's a classic het DG. So yeah, I decided to go on. So basically, I've sort of like virtually the 3 bigger ones, 3 big projects, all got 2 females, 2, 3 females with them as well. Because it's like, well, you want to make your females, don't you? So, and as I said, I'm the most impatient bastard on the planet. So I could go the het to het, but it's like I want it now. Does that make me a bad person? Not really. Just makes me want to get somewhere quicker. But no, I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, if you're able to go out and buy a visual, I mean, it makes sense all day. Yeah, it saves you time. In the end, time is money. So if you've got the money, you save on the time. Simple as.
Mate, I'm 55. I haven't got much time left.
Yeah, you're trying to see as many combos as possible. Yeah, I get you.
Before the Grim Reaper comes knocking at my door, so.
Yes. So the frost. What did you get, a male or a female frost? I can't remember.
Female
frost. Okay.
I'll just show you.
Is that a codom or a recessive frost?
Frost is a codom. She thinks it's feeding time. But obviously the ghost.
Okay, she looks big. She doesn't look far off breeding size.
She's about 1,200.
All right.
But she's been really good. She's good natured and she hammers food. She absolutely whacks the food. You pull it in and she'll just take it. So
yeah. All right. Hell, that's mine on my breeder now.
Well, I have the male that I really want to put with her, I think, is, and to prove him out as ghost, is my Enchi Lucifer. He's 100% pie, 66% het for hypo.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucifer, I absolutely love. It's absolutely amazing.
So Lucifer is it something to do with fire?
Yeah, it's Nerd's line of fire.
Right.
But it's more extreme. I've seen pictures of base Lucifers to a fire, and they are so much more brighter. So I want to put him. But the problem is, if I put him with pied, he'd make a high pied, high white, wouldn't he? Because it's fire. So I'm not really into high whites.
No. So you've got the Lucifer in already. Where'd you pick him up from?
I picked him up from. I've got 2 of them, and I picked him up from the same guy, Chatty Balls in Essex.
Okay.
His name's David. He's a really nice guy. Lives up to his name, basically. But yeah, I've got the Enchi Lucifer, and I've also got a GHI Pastel Lucifer female, and she's in shed, but she's insane. Her colours are really, really nice.
Yeah. Okay. So you look like you're quite set up for next season. You've got a lot
Yeah.
of different things in the works. It sounds interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Something else I saw on your Instagram that looks interesting was the Da Vinci stuff. Now you've used that, I take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
I
how do
used
you,
that. Go on.
no, you carry on. You carry on.
I used that. I was getting worried about the female, the super entry, because she had eaten obviously from when she was ovulating, and then she was sat on the eggs for that length of time. When she came out, I put her in a tub. I tried her on rats. No, she wasn't having it. She's always been a rat eater. So I tried her on multi. No, and I was like, before she laid, she was 2,500 grams.
Yeah.
When she finished, she went down to just under 1,400 grams.
Right.
And
Okay.
I was starting to get worried, and I was like, I'd seen Billy using it, and I was like, you know, something, it's my animal. I'll do what I have to do. So
Yeah.
I thought, fuck it, I'll try it. So I got that, gave it her. I had to go take her to the vet to do it as well, because my partner, he doesn't like reptiles, so it's like he doesn't want to touch her. And
Right.
she's quite a powerful snake, so they done a dose of that, and then what was it, 3-4 days after, I tried her with a rat. She smashed it. She
Okay.
hasn't stopped eating yet. And she even took her first multi, which was about 4 or 5 days ago. So yeah.
Right.
So in my eyes, some people could say, yeah, well, she might have been ready to feed. What is a
Yeah.
coincidence, you know? It might have been it. It might not have. But all I know is I gave it her, and then suddenly she ate. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Did you have to order it from the States?
I got it. I actually at first I did go to Da Vinci Boa's IG, and it was going to cost too much to bring it over. And then I seen that Mills had it for sale as well, so I got in touch with
Okay.
him, and I got it from him. So yeah.
I see.
It's still expensive. I think it was about 80 quid for the
Okay.
bottle.
You've only give it to the one snake as well, yeah?
I've actually given it to some of my other snakes as a supplement,
Right. I see.
because I know some people will say, well, you know, you don't need to, and you probably don't, but I just think of it as it's just another sort of thing to help. If it helps it, you know, it can make them better for breeding. It's just a natural supplement, isn't it? I guess you're always going to get people on two sides of the fence. Those that say you shouldn't, and those that say, well, yeah, do it.
Right.
Because if you look at it with geckos, with lizards, you supplement their diet, don't you? Even though they eat insects that are farmed, what's the difference? I can't see the difference, you know.
Yeah. You still have to put calcium on there, obviously, insects and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's your own decision at the end of the day. Like, they're your animals, and pretty much do what you want.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't sound like it's hurt the animal. It, like you say, it might have kicked in the feeding response after it laid eggs, and it's done exactly what you were hoping it was going to do.
Yeah. Because it was really sad seeing her not eat. You know, I was even contemplating trying to sort of assist feed her. because it's like, she is losing weight, and it's like, she's my responsibility, and she's done a good job with doing the babies. So yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it.
But you just said though that like, she was a big girl. So like, obviously you're assist feeding. Are you assist feeding? Did you say the hatchlings?
Yeah.
So
one tuck. Go on.
So what I was saying is you're assist feeding the hatchlings, and they're hard enough, let alone an adult that's that size. Luckily, touch wood, I've never had to assist feed anything bigger than a hatchling, but I can imagine it's an absolute nightmare if you've got to feed something 1,400 grams plus.
Yeah.
By yourself as well, like, man. Yeah.
That's gonna go more in her favour, I think, than mine. Especially with the mouth that she's got.
Yeah. Did you contemplate? Did you offer a live to her before you gave her a Da Vinci, or?
I can't get my hands on live. I don't breed. When I fed live before, and I gave a rat to my royal, and she didn't want the rat, and luckily I watched, because the rat started getting a bit too brave, and because she had maternal incubated and she would have been so whacked out, I couldn't risk that. Because even if I kept watching and the rat attacked her, it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath if you try to get a rodent off a snake. Because then you've got the snake trying to get you and the rodent getting you at the same time. It's like, you bugger, don't you? So, no.
Yeah. I've had that.
I'm not against live feeding. It's a necessary thing, In the future, if I had to breed my own stuff, I would live feed if I had to. It would have to be the last resort.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to that sort of subject, so you can't get hold of live or anything. Have you considered starting up your own colonies, breeding your own rodents?
I don't like rodents.
Right.
I hate them. I just don't. They just freak the fuck out of me. I don't know. They've got sharp teeth. I've been bitten before by a hamster, and it bloody hurt. And I don't think I could euthanize them. I'm too much of a pussy for that. So I don't know. I just couldn't do it.
Okay. So, am I right in saying a hamster doesn't have a tail? Is that right?
Yeah, it doesn't have.
Okay.
One, so it's
so rats and that have a tail, so that's always handy. So you grab by there, and their teeth are the furthest away from you. But no, if it's not your bag, it's not your bag. I guess the more your collection grows, the more you start to think, fucking hell, how much am I spending a month on feeding these fuckers? And then you sort of, I don't know, your mindset might change slightly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, you have to look at it like the amount of money you're spending on feeding them could go towards another snake at the end of the day. That's how I looked at it when I was considering doing my own. I was like, oh, hell, I could save that much money. And that's what I did at the end of the day. I sort of, to be fair though, I didn't mind the rodents. I started with ASFs as well, and everyone was saying, oh, they're vicious little bastards. But I got none of that whatsoever. My kids used to play with them and handle them all the time. And I never had an issue, well, apart from when 70 escaped. But that's another story. But then I moved on to rats. I was just like, oh, I'll just get a colony of rats. And I couldn't believe the difference of how fast the rats bred compared to the ASFs. It was like within like a month, I was overrun with rats. I was producing more rats than actually what I had to feed. I was like, Jesus Christ, my freezer was filling up so quickly. I was just like, okay, what am I going to do with these? But that's when I was like, oh, I've got a bit of extra cash in my pocket. I might as well bring in a few more snakes. I've got the feed for them. Might as well. And it sort of just went from there. But yeah, it's one of them. How many animals roughly have you got in your collection at the minute?
I think it's about 25, 26, something like
25.
that.
So, and that's in a year.
Yeah.
It's not bad going. It's not bad. It's not the best I've heard, but still, I mean, mind you, it's not a bad number, but it looks like you've picked up some quality as well.
Yeah, as I said, when I first started, I was buying for just by the looks of them. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, I like that. That looks nice. And I think then somebody said to me and goes, so what's your project? And I was like, what do you mean, what's my project? And it's like, well, what you bring? And it was like, them. He's like, oh, so you're going, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't realise it was that, like that. So then I had to sort of rein myself in and look at what was about. I'm not a fan of clown. I admit they are very, very good looking babies. I just haven't seen a good adult one. They just don't look nice. Even the Pompeii, it's such a beautiful snake as a baby. As an adult, it's not the best. You know, I understand it takes a lot to make it, but yeah, I'm just not.
Yeah.
From day one, it was like I looked at the clown and I thought, nah.
Yeah, so I agree with you in a way. Well, 12 months ago, I would have agreed with you completely. So I did what you did. I sort of, basically, it was after my first clutch hatched. I was like, wow, I need that feeling again. I'm going to buy shitloads of animals. I just went hell for leather, bought loads. If it was a price I could afford and it wasn't too far away, I'd go and pick it up. And obviously, like you say, that's a mistake everyone makes. And then I started picking up clown bits, which were nice because they were young still, and they were nice to look at. And then what happened was I won a adult in a raffle, adult male clown. I was excited to get it. I opened it up. I was like, oh. So I'm like, okay, looks very much how like a pastel darkens up. And in the end, I sold all my clown stuff. And this, like I say, this was about 12 months ago. I was like, I'll sell all my clown stuff. I was really getting into DG at the time. I bought a load of hets. And then I sort of like, I sort of got my projects in my head together. And I was like, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then I was sort of like, I sort of regretted selling the clown stuff because then I thought like, I could have put that DG male into that clown female I had and make the hits for that. So I guess that's the kind of route I'm going. I don't want a clown on itself, I want a clown DG. So it just gets brighter instead of dulls out. To be fair, if I produce a clown on its own, I probably wouldn't keep it. But making the double hets and then going forward that way, like I say, if I made a clown 66% het DG, like I said, I probably wouldn't keep it because it's not DG. And that's how I'm kind of looking at the clown project. A clown on its own, I'm not a massive fan of, so I'm making it. I'm trying to produce something I would like looking at a clown for, like with the DG. So yeah, that's how I'm sort of looking at clown going forward.
Yeah, I think I can't remember. I was talking to a breeder about it, and they did say, like the clown project's been around for so long, and yeah, you can still make. There's probably thousands of combos you can make, but it's trying to sell against those who are already established as clown breeders, and trying to get the best. There are some clowns, and I am sort of backtracking a bit. I've seen some lighter clowns, the sort of like creamy clowns that look really good, but the darker ones, and they just brown too much, and it's just like you look at it and it's like, shit. When you were younger, you were amazing. Now you're just. It's like humans, isn't it? It's like when you're younger, it's like, fuck, yeah. And it's like when you're older, you're like me, and it's like, fuck, God, you haven't aged well at all. Sort of thing. So I'm not going to say that I won't use clown. Let me say it. If I could find a clown that was good enough, and I had, like, for the puzzles or, or the lightning pies, then I probably would use it'd have to be a very high-end one, and one that doesn't look shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I know it's not going to go down too well, because there's a lot of clown people out there that are like, you bastard, you.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about. So.
Still laughing at the terminology. Yeah, that's so true with a clown. Like, you start dating a girl and then you sort of look at her mum and go, oh, is that your mum? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we need to talk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's brilliant.
But when you look at the clowns and you look at the pictures, you have to. That's what you're buying, isn't it? Because we're all humans, so we all buy with our eyes. So you see a pretty snake, and it's like, fuck yeah, I want that. But it's like, do any of us really say, can I have a look at the parents? It's like, no, we don't. Because you see something so beautiful and colourful, it's like, I want that. I want it. And it's like you say, it's like the girl scenario. Yeah. When she's younger, she's beautiful. When she's older, she's like the mother. It's like,
Yeah. I suppose we are being a bit harsh on clown, because it's not only clown that does that. Most snakes brown out when they're, but it's more visible in a clown because they are so stunning when they're younger.
It's like the Exantics. I think when I seen the Exantics at first, it was like, God, they're horrible. But then I think I seen the Stormtrooper, and it was like, that's impressive. But you look at the Stormtrooper now, and it doesn't look anything like it when it was younger. It's basically a black snake with little bits of white, but it's not as impressive as it was when it was younger. But then it still is, and it is a nice snake. And I know there's a big thing about Exantics. It's like, yeah, but they brown out. That's why I went for the MJ, because I looked at Marcus Jane's site, looked at his videos, and I've seen his lightning pipe, and it holds its colour. Seen VPI, they remind me a bit of like the clown. They just brown out. TSKs, you see the combos that you can do with TSKs, and it's like, yeah, they're fucking nice. They are nice. They're nice combos. But there again, I'm a bit of an outsider, and I like things that, there's not many MJs about. I'm not really bothered about that, because I'll make what I want to make, and if they sell, they'll sell. But when I seen that lightning pied, it was like, yeah, I got to have him. So I got the females to make more, and see where it goes.
Yeah. I don't really see a lot of TSK about either, or it might just be me not actually looking for it. But when I'm browsing through, it's mainly VPI. Like you say, there's not much MJ about in the UK. I could think of a handful of people who've actually got it. But no, it's definitely a good project to be in. It's very, like I say, because there's not so many people with it. If you produce something, it's going to be in demand.
Yeah. And that's why I've got a single gene female fire. I've got that from BP, Predator BP. And I then found the Lucifer. And I'll be honest, it was the name that I liked. It was like, oh, I like that name. And then when I seen it, I was like, wow. But that's not been worked. I don't know many people that work with it over here, but the colour that it brings out is absolutely insane. It really brightens up the colour. It's a nice snake.
Yeah, like you say, you sent me a picture of it, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Then when you explained it to me, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty cool." But like you say, I think I've seen it once or twice before, not really paid attention to it, but I'm guessing I may have seen that more in the States if it's a nerd line, more probably.
Yeah. You look at nerds when you look at Lucifer in the on the American one. Yeah, it's got the nerd on it all the way through. There's so many of them done by him, and I think it's because it's his line. But I like his stuff. Some of it I don't, but majority of it, although trying to sort of like identify them would be a minefield because they are so messed up.
Yeah. I'll leave that to you in the near future. Is there any recessive you don't have that you'd like to add to your collection?
So I've got Ghost, Zantic, Hypo. I don't know.
Yeah, to be fair, you've got quite a few bits and pieces. Like you say, you've got MJ, you got Pi, DG, Hypo, Puzzle.
Yeah, I've got the Puzzle lesson. Yeah.
There's only really Sunset to add, isn't it? And you got the full lot. Jeez, man. Like, how do you feel about the Sunset? Do you like it, or because it's a bit Marmite, I find.
Yeah, at first when I seen it, it was like I'm not too sure. Then I sort of like, no, I don't like it. But then I've seen what Miguel's done to it.
Yeah.
And there are some good ones. I guess it will prove. I guess time will tell. I think it's got some legs. I think it could make some nice snakes. But no, I don't. Yeah, not sure.
Yeah,
I don't think I would.
I guess it makes it hard if you're humming and hawing about it. You're like, oh, I'm not sure. You're not going to go out and spend what you've got to spend to pick one up.
No. I guess it's like
still... Go on.
Like the Stranger, isn't it?
Right,
I like the look of the Stranger, and it's like, if I had that sort of money, would I buy a Stranger? Because I know there's a big debate: is it a mahogany or not? Mm-hmm. It could be a higher end mahogany, but then I've heard some people say, "Well, don't diss that project because you think it's a lesser gene. Accept it for what it is, and if it proves out to be the same as mahogany, then just don't say anything."
Yeah.
It's like, you can't. So I think everybody especially if you've got the money, you want to get the best snakes that you can, isn't it? Like the Monsoon. or over here it's the moray, isn't it? I know Billy's got the moray and the monsoon, and he thinks they're both the same. So he's going to try and breed them to see what happens.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm new to this, so I can't really. I don't have. Well, I say I don't have an opinion, but it can usually get me into trouble. Yeah. I don't know. I think we work with what we like, isn't it? What you like is what you like, and it's if someone else doesn't like what you've got, then it's like you do your thing, I'll do mine.
Yeah, it's what's great about this hobby is there's so much to like. You don't have to like everything. You don't have to like what other people are doing. You just stay in your lane and do what you like.
Yeah, but it's like you look at what people do with clans, and they do some good stuff. You look people like Miguel with that, yeah. Billy with the enhancer. He's passionate about the same as his freeway project. And you have people with doing the highways, so the highway's better than the freeway, and so well, they're not better, they're just different.
Just different,
yeah. It's not mine's better than yours, and so I'm right, you're wrong, sort of thing. So,
it's just preference at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just do what I want to do, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly that. So you posted a picture of your room the other day on Instagram. Yeah?
Yeah.
I noticed you got, like you said earlier, you got the Herp Exotic rack. Then you've got, have you got an LP one as well?
Yeah, I've got LP, FB10s, and then I've got FB40s.
Okay.
As well.
So, do you use the same substrate in all of your racks?
Yeah. I've gone from one brand to the next. It's like, oh, that's nice. I used Herp Exotic, Herp Husk.
Yeah.
And I found that really, really dusty. And I was finding plastic in it. And the amount of dust was just horrendous. So I went off that. Then I went on to, what is it? Zorb. What they use for horses. I forgot the name of it now. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's like a paper, pellet sort of thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I didn't like the smell of that.
No.
So then I went to Lignocell. And I was like, that's just too messy. Then I went to Reptiblock, which I did like. But then I was like, I'll go back to Lignocell. And then it's like, nah, I can't be doing with a mess. So then I decided to go for Cocoa.
Okay.
And to be honest, that's the better one that I've used. The one for the one that's in the big tubs and the FB10s, it's really thick, big blocks, big pieces, and there's hardly any dust. And the small ones are on the hatchling one, and that's ideal. Because the Lignocell was fine, but it's like the Puzzle and a few others would drag their food into the water bowl and then onto the Lignocell, and then suddenly it's, oh no. And they have a mouthful of Lignocell, and it's like, shit, I hope that doesn't kill it. And it's like, change.
Yeah, I had a hatchling last year on Lignocell, and it done exactly the same, but it was his first ever meal, so it dragged I think it must have been mouse through all the Lingosil. I'm thinking, I hope it doesn't all get like compacted inside because there was so much Lingasil. Like when it had finished, it was all around the side of its mouth and it was everywhere. I was like, I think I've just killed that. So that worried me. So I changed them out and put them onto some sort of ReptiBlock or ReptiChip, whatever I was using at the time. And that's how I've sort of kept my hatchlings from now on, because that's one good thing about the chip is for a hatchling they're going to struggle to actually get one of them in their mouth, even if they've dragged their food through the water. It's not going to stick to it like Lingasil. I know what you're saying about Lingasil. A lot of people say, especially like so you've got your room in your house, so it gets dragged all through the house, and cleaning day is an absolute nightmare. Blocks up your Hoover, and it's just better to keep it on chip and stuff like that. But then a lot of people, I know Darren from Neighbours just changed back to Lingasil, but he's got a laminated floor and stuff like that. So if you got the right circumstances and again, it's to your own. You like you say, you've been through how many? 5, 6 different ones, testing it out.
Yeah.
It's one of them, really. I'm sure you're not the only one who's, once you run out, you think, oh, I'm going to try something else. It's just one of them things, and it's personal preference again.
Yeah, you're saying that about your hatchling. It's the same as the puzzle. When I had him, and I put him in a small on the Lignocell. And I offered him, because obviously coming from Justin, they're fed live, so it takes a while. And then one day I was offering him a mouse, and he misstruck it and hit the Lignocell, and he had a whole mouthful of Lignocell. And I was like, I've just bought a snake all the way from the States, and it's going to be dead any second now. And it's like, shit.
Yeah.
And it's, no. But the poor thing was that. Like having a mouthful of sand, at least we can drink water. This poor thing was like, nah, can I get it now?
Yeah, can't even wipe it away. It's got no fucking hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, how's the humidity compared to the LP to the other rack? Is because I know some people who can't actually use chip in the Herp Exotic rack.
Yeah, it is extreme. It doesn't get. Luckily, I put a load of air holes in mine, so I think that helps a bit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get that damp. When I first had them, it was like I thought, am I doing something wrong? Because the front of them was just like water, and every time I opened it up, you would just get loads of water dripping from the roof, and it's like, this can't be that good. I know they want humidity, but so with LP, they're absolutely fine. But my humidity, to be honest, is probably 30-40%. The only time I spray is when they're going into shed, and I don't have a problem. Yeah,
I know. I've spoke to people before where they've had to make up 2 separate blocks at a time because they've got 2 different racks, and like you say, one they'll put half the amount of water what they've done to the other one, just so it goes in drier and doesn't kick up as much humidity for like the sort of like sealed, but it's kind of sealed rack really, compared to the LP and the other ones like a loo rack. They've got a small little gap at the top where there's constant flow of air, which, like I say, makes the humidity a lot less. But it's your own circumstance. You've got to work at how it works for you in your own room and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was really excited at first to get these herpetic ones, but then, I just had a bit of a bad run-in as well with their customer service, which was not the greatest. But then I found the LP ones, And he was like, wow, I wish I'd known before.
Yeah.
You know, I would have spent the money. I think I spent over £1,000 on the Herp exotic ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if I spent it on the LP first, I would have been in a better place now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you live and learn, don't you? So.
Did you get your LPs direct from LP?
Yeah. That was last year, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got away with that one as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying Richard Deadman's ones. But I think they're a bit too expensive for me at the moment. So.
Yeah, so I know he's had an issue. I think most people know he's had an issue with the price of steel. Yeah. And he's had to put the price up of the racks. I just seem they do look good, but it just seems like people are waiting quite a while. I think there's big enough waiting list, like people wait in the States for Freedom Breeder. It's pretty much the same waiting time as Richard's got in a minute, unfortunately. But no, it'll be interesting to see if there's any way he can sort of drop his price maybe and get it out a bit faster. Because if he can do that, I think he's on to a winner there.
Oh, good, yeah.
Like I say, they look really nice. They're UK built. And yeah, some aspects of it are really good, some aren't not. But hopefully I can get Richard on here, hopefully, and we can have a chat about him sooner rather than later. But that's yeah, I've had a few quick chats with him, and like you said, he's really busy at the minute. So he did say he'll come on when he's got more time. But, no, definitely, I'm keeping an eye on the situation.
Yeah, I think I'll just keep with LP. I'm a bit, I guess, like everyone else in this hobby, a bit of OCD as well. And it's like, it has to match. It's like, having these about, I have to do it because of obviously money and that since this flaming COVID. But yeah, when I get some more money from when these bitches grow, then I'll make some more money and buy some more racks. So
yeah. I mean, if you had the chance, how many sort of what size collection would you be happy with? Like, say, how many breeder females would you be content with?
I'd say 150, 200.
Jeez.
I think would be ideal. Yeah. Between 150, 200.
Jeez, man.
So
that's a lot. It's more than I was thinking you were going to say.
As I say, I don't do when I get into something, it is like do or die. And I know a lot of people, you could burn out from it. I'm quite stubborn on that. It's like I'll see it through until the end, sort of thing. So
yeah. Go big or go home, eh? Jeez.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. So you said, like back in the day, you had a lot of different species and whatnot. Do you have anything apart from ball pythons anymore?
No. Because I'm only in a 6 by 7 foot small bedroom.
Yeah.
It's impractical. But there are some. If I could, I would have some lizards. I've always wanted. I remember them back in the day, monkey tail skinks.
Right.
I've always wanted one of them. I'd have one. What else would I have? Diamond pythons. Yeah. If I could have my dream python, then it'd be the Bolan. The Bolan
Right. Yeah.
python. I have that in a heartbeat.
Right.
If I could, if my livers and kidneys were okay, I'd sell them and just get one of them. That would be like,
Yeah.
what do I need a liver and kidney for? I've got a
Yeah.
really nice looking snake.
Yeah. Both kidneys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do like Bolans. Very nice. Very nice. But yeah, obviously you've got to maximise your space for the ball pythons if you want to get.
And that's it. Exactly. These herp ones, they're fine for the moment, but they do take up a lot of space. Whereas the LP, more slender, and you can stack them higher. So yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Mm. So it was the frost you got out earlier that was 1200, was it right?
Yeah,
around about 1200. Sort of, how much more weight do you want her to put on before you will actually pair her?
I know I've seen so many different points of view. 1500, 1800. Then you've got like, I've spoken to Austin. He's like 1200. But it's like he says, you've got to know what you're doing. The impatient part of me, I'd like to breed her now. But I think to myself, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's it. Yeah, so where were we?
How big do you want her to be before you breed her?
So I'll just wait until November. And just, there's no point in me rushing her or the male that I want to put her with. So I've waited this long so far, so I might as well just carry it in. So
yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I mean, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long to wait.
No,
you've been waiting. You've been waiting long enough anyway. Also, you said so the clutch you had this year. You said the breeder started pairing them. First, how many locks did they? How many times did they pair before you picked the animals up?
I think he said they locked 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
and that's why I was shocked, and he was a bit shocked that it was so quick. He thought she might have retained some sperm, and it could have been a different coral glows. I think it would have been a coral glow het desert ghost. So obviously the pinstripe came through, so it meant that it was that pinstripe. Wait.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So when you got them back to yours, did you pair them anymore?
I paired them twice. Yeah, about twice. And then, no, 3 times. And the third time, that's when they sort of went different sides. I did witness 2 locks. And then I witnessed that they weren't having anything to do with each other. So I just didn't bother putting him back in. And then, as I say, she started showing. But obviously, I didn't know about the body sizes and that. And I didn't know how long it would take. Yeah. I thought I worked it out that I'd probably have a couple of months before anything would happen. So I don't know why she went into hyperdrive and sort of like dropped them. But she did, and I learnt it. And I've got an incubator now for next year. And to be honest, it's a process that I'm glad I went through, because it taught me about how the snake reacts. You know, we say we want to get to know our snakes, and I think everybody should everyone's got their own opinion, but at least one maternal incubation. I think you learn a lot, and you see the snake in a different light, you know, compared to what we see our snakes.
Yeah. So even though you've got an incubator now, would you still do another maternal incubation?
That's why I want a big amount of females, because in the future, that's the way I want to go. I want to be just totally maternal incubate all the time. But it means that every female has to have a year off. So it's not. You need the backup sort of like backup females, don't you? So you use a female, you give her a year off, and then we'll just keep cycling them like that. I just think I've seen you guys on Instagram and on YouTube and that, and the way that you guys get so upset, and I don't blame you, when something happens with the incubator. If there's a power failure, if there's a spike in temperature, and it can cause. Whereas the female's going to do the whole temperature. Like I said, I witnessed that she was regulating her temperature between 89 and 91. And there was nothing going to stop her doing that. Even though the tub that she was in was only, at, I think, between 87, 88. Because it's one of these ones, and they're just finicky. So at first I was like worried about it, and then I read about how they controlled the temperature, and I would sit and watch her muscle, you know, the way she'd contract her muscles. Then when there's a lot of humidity and gas and that, she'd loosen her coils. So I think I know that, is it Eddie from Sunbury?
Yep.
He does maternal incubation, and Stuart from ICE, he does. Yep. So I think that's the way I want to go.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to do one, but then I bottle it every time I get eggs.
Today, she knows what she's doing, you know. I guess there is the thing with young mothers, young snakes, they can kick the eggs out or won't coil them. So I think to do it properly, you would have to use a snake that's had 1 or 2 seasons before you could turn around and say, right, I'll maternal incubate, and also get them up to a big size so that they can carry the weight loss that they're going to take.
Gav's in the house. How you doing, mate?
Hi, Gav.
Sorry, I'm late. He's always late. Gav's always late. If he's not, he's live. He's late. When Gav did it, it was very stressful for me. We were talking about that earlier. Going on to the way they coil and whatnot. I had a clutch this morning, and if I was going to do a maternal, it probably should have been her. It's not her first time. I think it's her second clutch. But the way she was wrapped around her eggs, probably the best coil I've ever seen, and it took me ages to get her off. Like she had it, like she was pretty much tied herself in a knot around them eggs. I probably should have left her to be. If I was going to do it, I should have left it with her, but I didn't. I was like, no.
Well, when I watched mine, it was quite funny because it was like sometimes it was like putting a lid on a jar, because sometimes she'd have her head, she'd totally encase the eggs, and then other times you see her and she'd just have her head away from the eggs and that. So yeah, it was just really interesting to see how she reacted. And when the babies hatch, I've seen videos of people with hatchlings and they're snappy. These are the most chilled hatchlings I've seen. They have never struck once. Even now they're eating well, they just don't bother striking. I can just pick them up. They're just fine. They're just, and also I've been sort of like head training them. So I'll touch their head, or I'll just make a small circle in my hand and they just go through, and they're not head shy at all. And I think when I weighed them when they were born, they were between 70 and 77 grams.
Okay, they're decent size. Yeah. So the clutch earlier I had this year, they came out at 45 to 50. I don't know what the average is. Probably Gav can let us know what sort of sizes he's come out at. Because I'm quite new. I've been doing this 3 years and not had that many clutches to sort of go on. But sort of, my average was probably 45 to 60, I reckon. Mine are coming out at. But then I've had quite decent success in getting them feeding. I think out of all the clutches I've had, I've only had to assist feed one. And that was because I had to tie off. Basically, it got its umbilical tangled. So I had to cut it off and tie it off. And that one was 24 grams. So I had to assist feed that one. And it was fine. I had to assist feed for probably 3 months. Then it started striking on its own, and it went off to his new home, happy and very aggressive feeder. So Gav said around 70 grams, which, so you've still got all the hatchlings from that.
Yeah, because like I said, the other 6, they didn't eat for ages. I ended up getting pinkies from Pets at Home, which pinkies, trying to put pinky and then suddenly its guts explode. It's like quite grim. But then I've got some hoppers, multi-hoppers. So I tried them, and some of them were not having it. It was like you pull it down, put the nose of the mouse down, and I would hold them at first, and then you put them in, and it's like banging it out. It's like, oh, you little sod, you. And then suddenly, one day, all 6 decided it was time. Even though I was assist feeding them, I had them in my hand. I got the multi-hopper, and to the point where you could actually hear the skull crush as they get into it. And then it wrapped around my finger, and it's like, that's not going to happen. And now they're just taking small multis. And they're mad for it. So before I sell them, I'll make sure, I don't know, 5 or 10 feeds. Before I let them go, so that I know that they're ready. That they're eating well. So
So you said they're on multis at the moment.
Yeah.
I find that the best way. I start all mine off on multis. either frozen or I'll offer a frozen first, just in case if they don't need the live, then I won't worry. If they go straight on frozen, happy days. But some people say, oh, you start feeding multis, then they probably won't want rats, which isn't true. Because I'll tell you what, last night I fed one of my hatchlings a small multi, and then I had a rat chub left over, and it took that as well. One after the other, bang, bang.
That was like the puzzle I got from Justin. He was feeding it rat pups on mice. So I tried it. I only had multis, so I tried it on a multi. It was having none of it. It was like, it'd sniff it and it just like back off. And it's like, no, it didn't want it. So I've got some small mice that I got from Boss Rats. So I tried them, and then suddenly it was like, yeah, he started hammering them. And I was like, I don't really want him to be a mouser. So when I put him in the FB10, I had a rat pup. So I tried him on that, and he took that. And now he takes multis. So
yeah. So you've got some animals from Europe. Did you have any issues? Because I know a lot of European breeders feed live. I'm just wondering if you had any issues.
The frost that I had, not a problem. First frozen thawed I gave her, she whacked it.
Yeah.
Just straight away. It was like she just hammered it, and not had a problem with her. She's missed 1 or 2 feeds, but that's when she's going into shed. But no, not had a problem at all. So
okay.
But I was thinking about, will I have a problem with Justin's one, because obviously it's a live feeder, and I was like, I'm not too sure. But luckily, not had a problem with him now. Yeah.
Gav said he's doing a video for his Patreon, how he starts his hatchlings off. Happy days. We're both Patreon members. If anyone isn't, make sure you're jumping on Gav's Patreon. It's well worth the money. You can pay me later, Gav. All right. He also said frosts are mean eaters.
Yeah, she's amazing. I it comes. I know we were saying earlier about when you do this if you do this as a business, you look at it as a farmer would look at his farming stock, and anything that works for him, you would just get rid of it. I think there's a few that I wouldn't. I'd say the ones I wouldn't get rid of is the Super Enchi, the Puzzle, the Lightning Pied, and that's it. Yeah, they're the ones I would never get rid of. I'd just have a vivarium for them and just let them live in that.
Okay. Yeah. I've sort of considered that. Obviously, I've still got my first ever ball python, which is a male pastel, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got the space now, but what happens when I've got my room maxed out and I need tub space? I don't want to sell it, so I was like, okay, I could always move him into a Viv, and he can see out his days in that. So that's probably what's going to happen. Or if my kids get a bit older, they want a ball python, they can have that in their room. Because to be fair, they play with him a lot anyway. They're 6 and 8, so whenever they come round, they're like, "Oh, can we get one of the snakes out?" He's always the first to get out, because I know I could trust him around them, and I know I can carry on doing what I do while they're playing with him. I've got no worries. Whereas some of the others, I sort of, if they want to get a certain one out, I know I need to keep an eye on them, really, because I know some of them can be temperamental. But because he's grown up with me and he was my first ball python, obviously you handle your first one a lot more because it started off as a pet. So it's been handled so much that he's just chill all the time. Yeah, that's definitely an option. Maybe put him into a Viv, like when I need the space, but that won't be anytime soon.
Yeah, I just think, you know, you do get attached to them. You know, they whether it's a business or a hobby, you'll always have favourite ones. And
Yeah,
it's like if they've done you a good service, then surely you should treat them. I know it's being sort of like you're being picking favourites, and the other snakes are like, "What's wrong with me? Why are you getting rid of me?" But
yeah,
it's like my logo is actually the Super Enchi. That's her. That's her in that the snake.
okay,
So yeah, I'd never get rid of her and also she's a good egg layer. You know,
yeah,
she gave me 7 good eggs. She was a good mum. So why would I want to get rid of her? And she's a Super Enchi, so
yeah, exactly, yeah,
she
yeah,
is good. So
yeah, yeah. Like the one that laid for me today, she was my first female. I don't think I'll ever get rid of her either. But it's sort of a bit different because she's a female compared to my first one, which was a male. She can, you know, I can put a, you know, big time, you know, proper packed male to her, and she'll produce me eggs every year. Whereas obviously the male can only do so much.
yeah,
So it's a bit different for her. But yeah, she'd never leave my racks, not at all. So something else I wanted to speak to you about. So I'm guessing since you've only been really like back in this since last May, I'm guessing have you ever been to a Doncaster show before?
no.
No.
Back in the day, I did used to go to some reptile shows with my mate, and what I can remember from back then, they were massive. You know, they were fairly big.
Right.
He used to amaze me because he'd just like have big wads of cash because everything was cash with him. It was like
Yeah.
he didn't owe anyone any money or anything. So I remember we went to a show and he bought the smallest spider he could get from this show. It was a Goliath bird eater. And I had to hold it in its box all the way home. And there's this thing it's like any second now it's going to pop that lid. And I'll be like a little girl. I'll be screaming.
No. Whereabouts were these shows? Can you remember?
I think they were down sort of. It might have been sort of like London. It might have been Doncaster. I just can't remember. I've got Alzheimer's for I'm 55. My mind's gone. So yeah, I can't totally remember, but yeah, they were good. But I think it was back in the day when reptile keepers were very dodgy.
Right.
They, it was like
yeah.
Some of them were the type of people that you wouldn't want to upset. It's like, put it that way.
Right. Okay.
Not saying they were gangsters or anything, but you wouldn't want to upset them.
Yeah, a bit different to what we have today then. Yeah. So will you be looking to go to Doncaster like when was it the 27th? I mean, to be fair, it's not too far from you, is it?
It's a couple of hours, I guess.
Okay.
Road.
Yeah.
The only problem is one, if I had money, I would spend till the cows come home.
Mm-hmm.
2, I'd probably have to leave the money back here because I'd probably end up buying something that very impulsive buyer as well. It'd be like, oh, I love that. And it's like, what am I going to do with this now? So, yeah, to meet other people and that, I guess.
Yeah. I keep humming and hawing. Like people keep asking me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going. And then I'll be like, I don't know. But, when it actually comes around, I guess I'll be buzzing. If I knew the show was going on, I wouldn't be able. Yeah, I'd have to go. I think so. Yeah, I probably will be going. Yeah,
it's just the money. It's just the money aspect, isn't it? And going to a show where you are the child in the sweet shop, and you're walking around, suddenly you see something, and it's like, oh God, I really want that.
Yeah.
Or God, that's so beautiful. Like, I could make space for that. And it's
yeah.
I don't think I'd be so sort of disciplined with that. It would be sort of like, yeah.
Okay, so the last show was what, about a year and a half ago, if I'm right? Yeah, about a year and a half ago, I guess. And I think I went to that one, and like you said, I wasn't disciplined at all. But I left with, I think I bought about 4, and I was just sort of, I think I would be different now because I have projects in my head. I wouldn't be so quick to purchase, and I think I'd sort of look at it and go, can I make this work? What is there a benefit of me buying this? Whereas before, I was just trying to pick up as many snakes as quickly as possible. So I guess this time I'm going to be going because the last time I went, I walked around by myself. I kind of knew one person, whereas now I seem to know so many people, which is awesome. But I haven't spoken to them face to face. I've you message a lot of people on Instagram and stuff like that. So it'd just be nice just to actually get out and see people and have a chat with people. So I guess that's really the only reason I'm not going for the snakes or the reptiles this time. It's just to get out. It's just a get out for the day, have a bit of a jolly. That's the only reason I'm going this year, or this coming up.
Yeah, I think I will go to one eventually. I think. I just guess also with the lockdown, I've become socially awkward. That's why I was surprised that I was going to do this. It's like, because I haven't got any seasons under my belt, and you've got better breeders, better people that have been in it longer now. So I don't know. I've met some good people, as I say.
Yeah.
The guy, Chatty Balls, really nice guy. I like him. Some people probably don't. Then there's Kevin from rugby, who's obviously Gavin's mate.
Yeah.
Love him. He's a great guy. I've got an awesome pastel leopard from him. She's grown so big. I've not power fed her or anything like that. She's just got amazing colours. Then there's Luke Mills. Less said about him, the better. No, I love him to pieces. He's such a nice guy. He really is a nice guy. And I haven't met Gavin yet, so I'll probably be like a little girl.
Yeah. Sir Gavin. Okay, let's not start that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't want that catching on. Hang on, smiley face, yeah. Yeah, so we've nearly done 2 hours, so you're not that socially awkward. We've had a chat for 2 hours.
I guess, as I said, I guess it's the passion that we all hold, isn't it? Whether you're new or been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I guess we all learn. And what I've said during this, people might think, no, you're wrong. That's fine. And I'm here to learn. I'm not some person. If someone says, no, you're wrong, I'm not going to turn around and get my back up and say, I'm not wrong. It's, you look at YouTube as well, and there's some really good guys that are doing content to that. And then there's some that you look at and you think, oh, I'm not going to. There is one guy that I used to watch a lot of his stuff. And then I know Billy and that have a laugh about him because he done something that was really bad. That's Chris Hardwick. When he sort of like cut the umbilical cord of a snake and it ended up dying.
Right.
But yeah, there's some really good people doing good content. I think if it wasn't for Brian Barczyk as well, because I think it was one of his vlogs that I was watching, and I seen him with a ball python, and I had only ever known him to be wild caught, and then suddenly he was like saying, "Oh, this isn't. Let's just pick one of mine, sort of Enchy Lucifer, Het Pied," and I was like, "What the hell's that?" And then it's like I had a look, and I was like, "Jesus Christ, these are stunning looking animals." You know what people have made now. And it's like, yeah, I want to get back into it. And I know that they are good snakes, and they are fairly good tempered. And I'm going to openly admit this. I was scared shitless of my snakes. I would wear a pair of gardening gloves to handle them. But I handle them now. But I have not been bitten, touch wood. I can read my snakes. I usually tap them on the head with a piece of tissue paper. I won't open them up now because it's feeding time. Well, it's not feeding time, but I fed the hatchlings. And I've got a secret weapon for when I feed. I use a hairdryer.
To heat.
Yeah. And it just sends, honestly, I use a hairdryer for about 30 seconds on one batch of malted. And the smell in the air, as soon as I open them up, they'll go for it.
I guess
I end up with lots of tails in the tongs because for some unknown reason, the tails just fall off. I think it's just the sheer power that they hit it with. So,
yeah. I've changed tongs recently, and I've noticed that I'm getting more tails left behind.
Yeah, like what's that?
Yeah, just like okay, get that off.
Yeah, gotta get rid of this. I guess
I'm guessing the hairdryer obviously kicks up the scent and sends them wild, which everyone does it their own way. I just stick their nose in hot water. That works for me, and each to their own. Really, it's another one. There's so many different ways you can do it. You've just got to find which works for you.
Yeah. And what I do is I open the tubs by about that much.
Yeah.
And as soon as I don't know if they can hear the hairdryer, as soon as the motor runs, their noses are at the thing and they're just going back and forwards. And then as soon as I heat it up, I've got a snake hook as well, so I stand away from it. And it's like snake hooks and tongs, and it's like just whack. And it's like, that's fine. So, like you say, it works for me, it might not work for others. So, yeah.
Gav's on one tonight. He doesn't own a hairdryer. Yeah. Could have sworn. How'd you dry your back?
I think you'll be kicked off Patreon now.
He wants to line them up. I'm going to knock him down.
But yeah, I enjoy. I'm glad that I did do this. It might make me do lives on Instagram, and I know that it's all about doing the work of getting yourself out there. And I sort of took that from Billy as well, because when I started my Instagram, I had 300 followers, and I would sit up at weekends, Saturday and Sunday I'd be on Instagram for about 9 hours, just scrolling along, following people, commenting and all that. And then suddenly it went up from 300 to 500 to 1,000. I think I'm at 1,300 at the moment. So it's like, it takes a lot of work. But I haven't got that many snakes. So a lot of my snakes... I haven't got that many snakes. So to keep me sort of like in the eye sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's why in Discord I don't talk much, because I just don't know what to say.
Right.
It's like I watch, I see what people put up, and it's like their pairings and all that, and I'm like, well, I can't get involved in that conversation because I've got nothing. So I think this will change my mindset on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Get involved. Like, you could tell us, what you're going to be doing in November. It doesn't have to be like this season. Like,
yeah, I can just imagine now. It'd be, oh no, another picture of a fucking puzzle. Oh god, another picture of a lightning pipe.
Yeah, exactly, Gav. Just be you.
Yeah, that means my followers have gone down to about 100 now. It's like,
nah.
No, I enjoy it. I love my snakes, and I'll always be honest. I do want to make a business out of it, and I will do my damnedest. That's why I've invested in, like you say, I'm not a big head. I'm not trying, that's why I decided to get into the puzzle. Mm-hmm. I know people don't like the puzzle and some do. And like the lightning pipes, everyone likes Desert Ghost basically. So
yeah.
And that's why I decided to go for Lucifer as well.
Yeah, that's kind of why I sort of asked you on, because fair enough, you haven't got massive experience in the whole breeding stuff and that, but your projects were very different. They were sort of, I don't know, outside the box sort of.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone is kind of got a few similar, but yours was completely, left and right, and sort of like, okay, it was very different. Like a lot of genes, like not many people would have heard of, like Lucifer, Trojan, and which we didn't actually. Did we talk about that? No, but yeah, we did. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of why I got you on. Like I could see what you were working with, and I was like, okay, that's different. I sort of wanted to chat about the different genes you're working with, like the frost and that. Not many people are working with frost, like we said earlier. And yeah, it was. I was quite keen about your Instagram because obviously in your bio, I think you put at the top what recessives you were working with. I was like, okay, that's a decent list. I'll get you on for a chat, and that's exactly what we've done.
See, it's like when I was looking for the puzzle, I think I got in touch with Gavin, asked about breeders, and it's like go to the source sort of thing. And it's like I was looking in the UK, and there was het males and het females.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then I looked at the price, and to be honest, it's like the price of the two females that I'm getting. One of them is the same price I paid for my visual male puzzle. Mm-hmm. I think altogether he cost about 1,700. Right. The two females altogether, I got a bit of a discount on them. They're $3,000 for those. Yeah. For those two. I know females are more expensive, but what is it? One's an Enchi pastel puzzle, and the other one's a firefly puzzle.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, what I'm trying to say is, I just wanted projects that do excite me, and I do, and making visuals, go down the het route and get het mail for cheaper than what I bought the mail from Justin's for, and then work on that. But like I said before, I'm an impatient git, and then you can, if I get visual females that whatever they come out at, I can work with them and progress it from there. So
it's a great way to go about it.
There's some snakes. If I could, if I had $5,000, I'd go and buy a $5,000 snake. Even if it meant I had to max out a credit card. I know it's not the most intelligent. Some people say, "Well, that's stupid." It's like, well, but it's what I want to do.
Thing is, not many breeders take credit cards.
No, that's why I'm selling my body as well, and that's going very slowly at the moment. I think I'm about minus £500, so I might have to knock that on the head. But no, I enjoy what I'm doing at the moment, and the people that I've spoken to so far, they're decent people. The guys on Discord, I'm not kissing ass or anything, seem decent enough. I've joined so many Patreon pages.
Right.
But that's because I like to learn. I'm on Billy's Patreon, Gavin's, and I joined Justin's as well. And if there's anybody who you can learn from, Justin is one of them. And it's well, sod it. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do a lot of things. So it's like, well, I might as well try and get some knowledge under my belt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, knowledge is power at the end of the day. You should, nothing wrong with that.
Gavin's UK based, so it's like, it's obvious that's a no-brainer. It's like,
absolutely.
I live in the UK. I know the US is a different kettle of fish, but I've been asked to go to. There's a guy that I've met, talk to on Billy's. He's asked if I'd go out to the States when this is all lifted and go for a drink and go to Tinley. It's like, why not?
Hell yeah.
And that's what it's about, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether you're in the UK, America, Canada, Germany, or wherever. It's about networking, isn't it? And getting yourself out there. Especially now we're not in the EU. So
exactly that. Apparently, Gav takes credit card.
Eh?
Yeah, Gav takes credit card. So you'll get one tonight. You'll apply for one later. Yeah. Jeez.
Actually, if Hellboy has any young, I'd definitely get, because I haven't got Orange Dream. I think I've got Yellow Belly in a cinnamon. That was from Rob Nash. I've got Enchi in quite a few things. So I've got a GHI. I've got Pastel, Lesser. I've got One Spot Nose. So I'm covering the bases sort of thing. So, and I've got one of Sam's favourite ones as well, Pinstripe. Pinstripe Enchi Calico. But I got that for the Calico. So we'll just wait and see what I can produce in the coming years.
Yeah.
The Grim Reaper backs off a bit. So
keep him at arm's length.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nick, I appreciate your time tonight.
No, thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely. We'll have to do it again when you've got a incubator full of clutches.
For sure.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, mate. You enjoy the rest of your night.
And you. Thanks for having me again. Cheers.
Catch you later, mate. Thank you
Take
very
care.
much. I always do that. I always cut people off when they're talking. I need to finesse that part of the podcast. All right, take care. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, I appreciate everyone who's tuned in tonight. This podcast will go straight on the podcast platforms. If people have noticed, I've been slacking on that recently, but I'm back. Taking it seriously. Well, I've always taken it seriously. I've just been slacking on that bit. But I'm going to keep up to date with this sort of stuff now. Stay tuned for announcement on my next guest. I'll be dropping that on my Instagram in a few days. But thanks for joining again, and I will see you later. Adios.